Welcome to the Long Road, Joel and Christy. I'm Joel, flying solo today, and today I'm going to be talking about my training leading up to the Chicago Marathon. This will be the last video before I run the marathon on October the 9th. It won't be the last video in the series because I will do a recap video after the marathon, just kind of let you know how I did and how things went. So today, my goal for today is to talk about three things. Number one, is my training for the last few weeks, my strategy for the race, and then what I'm going to be wearing during the race. So I kind of want to give you that, and I'd like for you to give me some comments below when I'm going to show you some things and then ask you for some comments on some things you might do or might try. If you can drop me some comments below, that would be great. I still have about roughly 4 weeks, I think it's 4 weeks from today until, well, not today, 4 weeks, about 3.5 weeks until the marathon when this video airs. So I still got some time to work some things in during the taper period. So here we go. All right, so my training for the last few weeks has been kind of off and on. I felt pretty good during the training. I've missed a few runs just because of work and some things that have been going on, but I have tried to fit in the greater majority of those runs. I was scheduled to do 3 20-mile training runs during this training block. I've done 2 so far. The first one didn't go as well. The second one that I did last week, I was very pleased with it. It was a slower run because you're supposed to do your long run slow. But I did try to run some of it at marathon pace in the heat and humidity here in Florida in August. And so I was pretty pleased with that. I finished about kind of where I want to, in that kind of range of where I want to finish for the marathon. And I was pretty pleased with that. So I'm thinking about not doing the next 20-mile run and maybe just doing a 16 to 18-mile run as my last really long run before the taper starts in about a week and a half. So, so that's kind of where I've been. I've been pretty pleased with the training, the way it's been going. My weight, I was not going to talk about my weight today because I thought I had gained some, because I don't weigh every day. Most of the time it's once a week, and I don't weigh at home. I weigh interestingly enough on the scale at Walmart when we go to buy groceries. So because we don't keep a scale at home. So I've been keeping up with it there. I started, if you remember, at the beginning of the training cycle at 179.5, I think it was. And then when I weighed this morning, it was 171.5. So I've lost about 8 pounds. My goal is to be under 170 before the marathon. I think I can still get to that just with the training runs I have coming up, and watching some of the things that I eat going over the next 4 weeks. I still think I can get there, and I'll update you on that as well as we get closer. So looking for at least 169 by race day. So that's kind of where my training has been, and pretty excited about how I feel right now and where we're headed for October the 9th. So for racing strategy, now if you remember, this is going to be my second Chicago Marathon. The very first marathon I ran was in 2012, 2012 Chicago Marathon. So, you know, go big or go home. First marathon I ever ran in my life was one of the marathon majors. So, and I finished in 4 hours and 44 minutes, which I was hoping for 4:30. I finished in 4 hours and 44 minutes, so I was kind of pleased with that. Being my first, not really knowing what to expect. This time, I've got 7 more marathons under my belt. 8, 9, 6 more marathons under my belt. I've got 7 total. This will be 8. Dopey will be 9 in January, and hopefully Boston will be 10 in April. So I've got 6 more. I've got 7 under my belt now, and I feel like I have a good strategy going in. And if you remember my marathon from Celebration back in February, my goal was to go a little bit over pace it's the 10-10-10 rule. Go over pace for the first 10 miles, go under pace for the next 10 miles, and then all you got for the last 10K. That was my strategy for Celebration. It's going to be kind of the same strategy for Chicago, just not as intense, because I'm not going for a PR this time. I'm not going for a Boston qualifier. By the time I get to Chicago, I'll probably know whether or not I got accepted into Boston, because by the time you watch this video, I will already have registered for Boston, and they'll be making sure my time is correct and making sure there's not more people faster than me than what gets me into the race. So I should know within probably 3 or 4 weeks, hopefully, whether or not I'm in or not. But as you know, I did run the qualifying time back in Celebration Marathon back in February. So I will be submitting that time the week of September 12th to the 16th. It's not a first come, first serve. It's a just register that week, and they'll look at all the qualifying times and see which ones are the fastest runners, and then make their decisions accordingly. Now, I'm about 4 minutes, 3 minutes and 59 seconds to be exact, under my qualifying time. So I think that's good enough to get me in, but we'll just have to wait and see. I'm optimistically hopeful that I will be running Boston in April of next year. So my strategy for the race is, again, I want to be under 4 hours. That's my ultimate goal, is to be under 4 hours. I'd like to run at an 8:30 pace, 8:45 minutes per mile, somewhere in that general area, just so I can enjoy it. I mean, I ran Celebration at 8 minutes, and I did enjoy it, but when you're running really fast, you don't really get to see a lot of things. And I'm going to try to record some on the course. They don't allow selfie sticks. I'll still take some video with me, because I will be taking my phone with me. I've realized that and I know some of you are going to tell me to get a Garmin, but I really like my Apple Watch. But my Apple Watch is a little bit older right now, and it doesn't hold the battery well. And the first 20-mile run I did in this training block, my watch conked out at about 18 miles. So my strategy is to keep my time on my watch, because I've done this in the last 20-mile run I did. I have my phone with me to listen to music and whatever else I needed to do. And then also I use my watch to keep up with my time and my pace and everything. The only thing is, even with a Garmin for Chicago, at least during the first 4 or 5 miles, it's hard to really get a good GPS signal because the buildings are so tall down there. It doesn't allow for you to get a great signal. So your pacing is going to be off for the first 4 or 5 miles anyway. And so I'm just going to use my watch to time myself, knowing what times I need to hit for each mile marker. So just in case my Nike Plus app is off. So I do use the Apple Watch with the Nike Plus, the Nike Run app, the Nike Run Club app. I use that to track all my runs. I've been doing that since I got the Apple Watch back in, I think, 2017. But I also will be taking my phone as well. Now, I've got this little baggie that I got when I ran New York City Marathon from Team for Kids, which was a charity I ran with. New York Road Runners Club. I got this neat little fanny pack there. I can put all my gels in there, put my phone in there, and I'm good to go. I'm good to go for the race. So my strategy is for the first 10 miles to run probably at an 8:30 pace. For the second 10 miles, I want to run at an 8:45 pace. And then for the last 10K, I'm going to have some pacing music on my phone that runs me anywhere between 8 to 8:15 to 8:30, just to make sure I come in at the time I want to. So it worked out fairly well with me. Well, I wouldn't say it worked out fairly well with me in Celebration, because my watch conked out at 23 miles. So I had to run the last 3 miles blind and still had a pretty good time. So I was pretty pleased with that. But I do have some timing music that I have used in longer runs during this training block, and it works out pretty well to help me keep my pace especially when my legs get tired. So, and they will get tired around mile 23, 24. So, so I will be doing that, and that's kind of my running strategy. Chicago's a pretty flat and fast course. There's really only one hill that I remember, and it's right around mile 20, right before you turn back onto Michigan Avenue. So that's kind of where I'm going with that strategy. I really like this course. It does get kind of windy. You know, Chicago is known as the Windy City, but as long as the temperatures are anywhere between 40 and 55 to 60 degrees with lower humidity, it should be a pretty good day for racing. I know back a couple years ago, I think back in 2019, the humidity was up and the temperature was up. I think it was up again last year as well. So I'm hoping I don't want it to be too cold because I don't like a lot of layers that I have to take off later and discard, but I am hoping it's somewhere between 40 and 55 degrees on race morning. The race will start about 7:30, and I should be done hopefully around 11 o'clock, 11:30, depending on how fast I go. So that's kind of where it is, kind of my strategy. I am taking 4 gels with me on the race. And I do these by Crank Sports. They're called E-Gel, electrolyte energy gels. And I really like these. They have 37 grams of carbs. They do have sodium and potassium. They do not have caffeine. And then they have 150 calories per serving. So I think I can squeeze at least 125 calories out of this. Hopefully more than that, but to replace those calorie stores that I'm depleting along the way. So I like these. They work out really well. They do give me a burst of energy when I take them. I take them right before an aid station. I'll do that at mile 6, mile 12, mile 18, and probably somewhere between mile 22 and 24 for the last one. Right before I get to an aid station, I take this, and then I take a couple of cups of water from the aid station and drink that up as well to help kind of activate the gels. So those have worked out pretty well with me. What gels do you use when on your longer runs? So drop me those comments below and let me know. I'd really love to hear that. I'm also working in some Gatorade Endurance lemon lime flavor over the next 4 weeks. This will be on the course. Nothing new on race day, and don't try anything on the course that you haven't already tried in your training block. So I'm going to start working. I've used this before because I use this. It's pretty standard for most of the races that I've done. And I'm going to work some of this in over the next 4 weeks just to make sure my body can handle it on race day, because I do think that every other mile, every other aid station, I'm going to alternate between Gatorade and water that I take from the aid station. On the ones that I take Gatorade, I'll take 1 Gatorade and 1 water, Gatorade and a water to wash it down. And the next one I'll take water. The ones I do my E-Gels on, I'll do water as well. But I just want to see how this works to kind of help give me another boost as I go through those aid stations. So, but yeah, you have to work that in before race day just to make sure your body gets acclimated to it, and always use what the exact things they're going to use on the course. So if you're training with a gel that's not what they're using on the course, don't drop your gels on race day to use what they use on the course, because your body may have an adverse reaction to it. So, you may have to hightail it to the porta potty. So, so I will be using these gels that I've been using in racing, and I'll use these on race day. I'll be taking those with me. So that's kind of my strategy for the race. Now let's kind of talk about what I'm going to be wearing. And I'm pretty low key as far as my racing attire. I've got some things that I've worn for years. The shorts that I'm wearing, I've worn these for years. Actually, this was the very first pair of running shorts I bought. The actual running shorts. I probably had these, I'd say probably 6 or 7, maybe 8 years that I run in these. I got these from Academy Sports, and they hold up pretty well. I don't even know what the name of them is anymore. The tag is worn out. I can do a Google scan of that logo right there, and it comes up on Academy Sports, so I know that's where I got them from. But these are pretty good. They got an inner liner that that helps you out, keeps, you know, supporting everything. I really like those shorts. This is the singlet that I'm going to wear. And I got this from a race in Houston back in 2018, the Texas Bud Heat Wave. And every race that I've run, pretty much every race I've run after that, I've worn this singlet. So I really like it. It's breathable, and it fits really well during the races. And I'll be wearing that again for Chicago. If I ever come across one that I like better, I'll probably switch this one out, because this one is now 4 years old, but it still holds up pretty good. I really like it. Then I also have this little skull cap that I wear, especially when I'm out running during the day, because you know the dome kind of takes on the sun there, takes on a little reddish hue after too much time in the sun. This also keeps sweat from coming down. I also have a pair of sunglasses that I'll probably take and wear as well as the sun comes up. My socks that I wear, I get these off of Amazon. They're called Latera, and I've worn these for I don't know how long. I don't remember how I came across it. I think just a search on Amazon, picked them up. They're fairly inexpensive, but they do pretty good. I am looking for some suggestions for other running socks that may still hold up as well. So if you have any comments below, I'm looking at you, Dev Runner. Give me some comments below on some running socks. I have looked at some Sauconys that I did purchase off of Amazon, but when they told me they weren't going to get here till October the 2nd, I canceled the purchase because I need some at least this week that I can start training in. Otherwise, I'm going to be wearing the Lateras, which hold up pretty well anyway. So. Go ahead and drop me some comments below. Let me know what some good running socks are. They have good cushioning. And then my shoes here, these are my Skechers. I just got these. My son and daughter-in-law gave me a gift card for my birthday. And I went out and bought these shoes that day because I knew I needed some new Skechers. I've worn Skechers exclusively. So if you're listening to Skechers and you want to sponsor me, I'm all about that. But I'm not sponsored by Skechers, but I do use them exclusively now. I've ran in a lot of different running shoes. I've done Brooks. I've done Asics. I've done Skechers. Done more Skechers now than I have any others, just because these are the ones I really like. For the price, they have a really good shoe. And these Go Runs are relatively inexpensive. I got these at an outlet for they were 80 bucks. I had a $25 gift card. I had a 30% off for my birthday, plus I had some points on my Skechers account, and I got these for $24. They're regularly $120. At the outlet, they were $80, and I got them for $24. So pretty stoked about that. I've always liked the Go Runs because they're a fairly inexpensive shoe, and they hold up pretty well to my kind of running, which is about 100, 120, 150 miles a month. So I change them out probably roughly every 4 to 5 months. I do have another pair that's got a little more mileage on them, but these are the ones that I'm going to wear because I just bought these and got them worked in. Did my 12-mile run in them this morning, and these are the ones I will be running in Chicago. So excited about those as well. So that's kind of my strategy, kind of my update, my strategy, and what I'm going to be wearing during the marathon. Drop me some comments below. Let me know if you have any tips for me leading up to the Chicago Marathon. Anything that you'd like me to know. I'll give a report afterwards, just to let you know how things went, if I met my goals or anything like that. And then hopefully coming up within the next 2 or 3 weeks, I should have an update video on my registration for the Boston Marathon, which, as I said, I'll do. I'll register for that next week. So thanks for joining me today. Don't forget to drop me those comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notifications bell for updates when we upload new videos on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, sometimes on the weekends, sometimes in between. You just kind of never know when we're going to drop one in there. But with that said, that's going to do it today for the long run with Joel and Chrissy. I'm Joel, flying solo today. Don't forget it's the long run. Give yourself a little grace.